Kansas City Royals select Bobby Witt.
That cheering you heard were the family and friends and teammates of Bobby Witt Jr., whose name was called second in Monday night's Major League Baseball draft. The Royals took Witt and have pinned a lot of hopes for the future on this high school shortstop. Columnists Sam Mellinger and Vahe Gregorian stop by and we talk about the draft, Bobby Witt, what it means to the Royals, and later in the show, we talk to Lynn Worthy, who spent part of his Tuesday afternoon traveling to the Witt home outside of Dallas, where he talked to Bobby Witt Jr. and his father, Bob Witt, the former Major League pitcher. I'm Blair Kerkhoff, and you're listening to Sports Beat KC, a sports podcast presented by the Kansas City Star. Vahe Gregorian and Sam Mellinger are here. How you doing, guys?
Very good.
You look good. You look healthy.
That sounded
you look
hot.
Rested.
as they say in the business. Sorry.
Is that what the talent says?
I'll try and cool it down.
Producers say.
No, yeah, feel good.
Producer talk.
Feel good, pod good. That's what they say.
It is what they say.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that. I'm hoping to feel good. I do feel good. Yeah, I'm good.
All right, so we're here to answer the question: is Patrick Mahomes the Bobby Witt of the Chiefs?
He has a chance, Blair.
Does he have a chance
to be the Bobby Witt of the Chiefs? Yes, he does.
I thought it was interesting that he tweeted about the draft choice. What is happening in sports that Patrick Mahomes is not involved with somehow or comments on?
I don't know. Is he at the College Softball World Series right now? I am so sick of everybody being compared to Patrick Mahomes. John Morant is like the next Patrick Mahomes of the NBA, apparently, because he throws no-look. Can we cool it with that? Like, it drives me crazy. Patrick Mahomes is a unicorn. Like, if we're looking for the next Patrick Mahomes, might be a while.
It is kind of fun, though, to have the guy on your team, on your hometown team here, right, that is the one people are saying that about. The next. But you're right, it already is kind of tired.
Well, you know how tired it is that Bobby Witt Jr. plays shortstop. He's been compared to Patrick Mahomes, and the guy that plays shortstop for the Royals now was being compared to Patrick Mahomes last year. Like, it's just...
And the general manager was telling him to be like Patrick Mahomes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can we just stop? That's all I want.
Well, for the purpose of this podcast, no. Because the comparisons have been flying here over the last
really
couple
have.
hours. So obviously we're talking about the draft. We are talking to you. We're recording this on Tuesday, the day after the first round of the Major League Draft. The draft continues Tuesday and Wednesday. Teams each get 40 options to pick 40 players. And the Royals took Bobby Witt Jr., the shortstop, high school shortstop from Texas. And there was some smoke, I guess, before the draft that the Orioles picked first. And the consensus was they would take the Oregon State catcher. They did, although there was a little smoke before the draft. Maybe it wouldn't fall that way. But I think the Royals knew it was going to fall this way because they scouted every inning of every game that Bobby Witt Jr. played this year. And that came out in the press conference that the Royals were there for all of his games. And it just sounded like this was a done deal from the get-go. So what about it? I mean, baseball's a little different than other sports when it comes to draft picks. You talked about John Morant and Patrick Mahomes and their sports. Those guys made him. Patrick Mahomes made an impact in his second year. John Morant's probably going to be an impactful player early in basketball. That happens with the first few picks. I'm not so sure. I am sure. Baseball doesn't work that way.
Right. This draft was different in a couple ways. Like, I remember talking with Dayton last summer, a year ago, and about like this year's draft. God, you guys might be picking high. Like, who are you looking at? And it was Adley Rutschman and Bobby Witt Jr. were the first two people that he mentioned. They would have been thrilled with either one of those guys. And it is, I don't think it's a stretch. At least the people who make their living in these worlds would say that Bobby Witt Jr. is the most talented prospect that the Royals have had in many, many, many years. More talented than Hosmer, more talented than, Carlos Beltran is this is like a different sort of level. Like, you can make jokes about. Remember the Royals were in line for the number 1 overall pick in the Moustakas, what ended up in the Moustakas draft.
Right.
And it was David Price and then a big gap. And they ended up sweeping the Tigers and had the number 2 pick. The Chiefs had the number 1 pick in the draft the year between Andrew Luck and Jadeveon Clowney. Like, that's how it seems to work for Kansas City. But they had the number 2 pick in a draft where there were two guys above everybody else. It was a good break that way.
The Royals have only had the number 1 pick once, right?
I think that's right.
I think so.
Luke
Yeah.
Hochevar was their pick that year.
And isn't it true the Chiefs have only had it the one time with Eric Fisher?
I think
in the NFL era.
I think in the NFL era,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
right.
because there was Bobby Bell or somebody went.
Yeah, in the AFL years.
Yeah.
So what's the other thing that, speaking of the hyperbole of all this, it's no longer a 5-tool player. You can no longer be a 5-tool player. You're now a 6-tool player.
Yeah.
And that's great.
I'm sorry, I didn't take that exam. What was the sixth? What's the sixth sense there? The sixth tool? What?
I think it's the mental toughness, the mental part of the game.
He's
He's got the 5 physical tools, and now he's got the mental toughness.
You're nothing without the 6.
I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. And I guess if you'd want that 6th one, and then you could work on the other, the other 5, the physical ones. I guess I don't know, but yeah, the praise for him is really off the charts. He's obviously a great amateur baseball player. Would have gone to Oklahoma if he had gone that path. His father, baseball player, pretty effective pitcher. Started like 400 major league games. Bobby Witt was an effective major league player for a long time. The genes are there. I think he's going to be a very successful baseball player at the professional level. How long should we expect him to take to get to the major league level?
When's the airport supposed to open?
There we go.
I'm thinking, aren't we thinking you'd hope 22, right? I mean, realistically, could it be sooner?
Yeah.
Well, Blair, you went through some research on this about, what the fastest trajectories have been, and it's not much more than maybe the one you found was fastest was just 2 years with Greinke.
Right. So Zach Greinke was drafted in 2002 and made his major league debut in 2004. Everybody else that we talked about, I think it was Johnny Damon, Butler, Gordon, Hosmer, Moustakas, notable first-round picks, took at least 3 years to get to the major leagues. So, look, every team's different, every circumstance is different, the roster makeup, whatever. But what's a little unique about this, even if Bobby Witt Jr. is on a fast track to get to the major leagues, he's playing a position that is occupied by the most promising of young Royals right now. So someone would have to move in a couple years. I guess that would be the idea. Have we heard anything about that possibility?
Other than what I read in Mellinger minutes, not much. But didn't you make the point? I think it was in that where you made the point about that you can work with that, right?
No,
I mean, maybe one of them goes to center field, one of them's at third. I mean, who knows? But get them here first, and then worry about that.
The best problem that a Major League Baseball team has ever had would be, what do we do with this extra 6-tool shortstop? What do we do with this, our second Patrick Mahomes of baseball? That would be an incredible problem to have, right? But if you can play shortstop, you can play any position. So it's terrific. I mean, they already have Whit Merrifield, and who knows if he'll be on the team. I think they're willing to trade if the right offer came along. But they've got 3 now, at least in the organization, really, really versatile, high-level talents. And you can do a lot with that, because now, one of the best moves that they made to make the 2015 World Champions was that trade for Ben Zobrist. And it was because Alex Gordon was hurt and Omar Infante stunk. And so he could play left.
And he did to start out.
Yep.
When Alex Gordon was hurt.
Yep. And then when Gordon, it was a hamstring, I think,
or
whatever
ran
it
into
was.
a wall or something,
Yeah.
whatever it was. But he was out for an extended period.
Yep. And then when he got healthy, he just moved right over to second base, and Omar Infante's got like that. That's the kind of stuff that you can do here. If and I don't know, obviously, who's going to be a better big league shortstop in 3 years defensively, between Witt and Mondesi. But I know that whoever finishes second in that competition is going to make for a hell of a center fielder or corner outfielder or third baseman or something. Like they're going to have plus defenders, maybe plus, as the scouts might say, at multiple positions. That's not a problem at all. That is a solution.
One other thing, if you don't mind going back to the Patrick Mahomes of concept, part of the point when somebody's saying that, the implication is he can change everything, right? So let's say Bobby Witt's here in 2 years and he's hitting 370 and for power and great fielder. He won't remotely affect a game like Patrick Mahomes does. I just
It's
really
impossible.
need to say that.
Yeah,
I mean,
a baseball player cannot do it.
Yeah, it just
No, in fact,
the sport doesn't work that way.
the reason I chose those players that we talked about, the former first-round picks, I started with Greinke, Butler, Gordon, Moustakas, and Hosmer. It took all of them, including the talent that they acquired in the Greinke trade, it took all of them to get the Royals to a playoff level, to get to 86 wins in 2013.
Yeah.
And we don't. That's how different baseball is than the other sports. Patrick Mahomes, it becomes a starter in his first year, and the Chiefs don't miss it. Not only not miss a beat, from in their offense, they take another step offensively. When Mahomes replaced the person who led the NFL in passer rating the previous year, that's how much difference that the right player can make in that sport.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen in baseball.
How many world championships has Mike Trout won with the Angels?
Yeah.
How many playoff games has Mike Trout won?
Exactly.
I believe he's 0-3.
But I mean, so you need to stack. You need to stack like high level talent with high level talent, and next year's draft is supposed to be loaded, and the Royals figure to pick pretty high. They figure to.
Are you going to have that same conversation with Dayton right about now that you
I
had a year
should.
ago?
Yeah. Good call.
They're a couple games behind, right? It's behind the pace of last year.
Yeah, they are pacing to. I think they'd have the number one pick right now.
Maybe they're at least no worse than 2 or 3 for sure.
Yeah.
But if they do, and they will pick, I don't think anything's going to change the trajectory.
Right.
They will have a pretty high draft pick next year to go along with the one this year and the one in the draft of 2018, which was the pitcher heavy. Brady Singer, Jackson Kowar, Lynch, the Virginia pitcher, and all. Yes. So it looks like they're, Singer got the promotion just recently, right? From he's now pitching at Class AA, and there's so far some positive signs from that draft class, and maybe this is the start of the you can start piecing together draft classes and see where the top talent project where they'll be in a few years, and that'll be the next playoff window opportunity for the Royals.
You're making me think of this because Sam is really versed. I shouldn't say in the term, but Sam, you openly talk about tanking.
Yeah.
And actually, I wonder if you would elaborate on how a team would tank without, selling its soul or its integrity.
Well, you got me at selling your soul and your integrity. Because I feel like the Astros sold their soul and integrity and lost a ton of games in, a 3-4 year span, and they loaded up. That's when they got Correa and Bregman and some of those other guys, and look where they are now. The Royals have been adamant about that's not what we do, and they want to win and develop. And look, Dayton and JJ, all those guys, like they see this the same way, that you win by developing, you develop by winning. And they don't believe like the culture that gets established. It's the reason that NFL teams are so against tanking. It's, or at least used to be, that once you establish a losing culture in that big league clubhouse, it is really hard to turn that around. I get it, and I love the ambition of a team, a small money team, thinking we can win consistently while rebuilding, while maintaining a strong farm system. I just think it's unrealistic. And, so what they're doing now in practical terms is tanking. They lost 104 times last year. They're going to lose a whole bunch this year. They're going to pick, in the top 5 again next year, I would expect. But so in that way, I'm like, okay, this is good. Like, this is how you build, because the thing that they were missing in that farm system, they think their farm system is a lot better than the rest of the industry. But one thing that they agree with in the industry is that it's lacking high ceiling talent. They just got a superstar prospect. So that changes how you look at the farm system. The problem is this is unintentional tanking.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you.
That is a problem. That is an issue.
What does intentional tanking look like that this doesn't?
Trading away. If they were intentionally tanking, they would trade Whit Merrifield for whatever they can get. They would keep Mondesi. They would trade Perez. They would have traded Perez a couple years ago. They would have traded. Here's what it would have looked like after 2016. You have the parade. You have to let that group go get it. And 16 was the year that was not ruined, but made more difficult by the Gordon Moustakas collision in Chicago. So anyway, like after 16, you got to make a decision. You are going to try to win, which means keeping Wade Davis and signing someone like Josh Reddick, or you tank and you trade Wade Davis for Jorge Soler. You trade Lorenzo Cain. You could have got a lot for Lorenzo Cain. You trade Eric Hosmer. You could have got a lot for him. Moustakas, that trade value may not have been high because he was coming off an injury. You still could have got something for Gordon, I would think. No, because he stunk in 16, didn't he?
He did.
But anyway,
but he also had that injury.
Cain and Hosmer, you could have got a lot for.
You could have started the process sooner.
Yes, it would have been jump-started by at least a year, maybe 2.
You were saying this then. I mean, this isn't hindsight on your part. In fact, I think you were ready in 16 even a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I just look like I would have tanked. I would have traded everybody, but like I understand like there's a financial reality that they have to deal with that I can kind of brush off as the sort of dumb sports writer. So if their philosophy was let's try to win, then that's cool too. But just don't tell me you can do both. Like that was just my problem. You got to pick one or the other, because if you try to do both, you do neither.
We look at the Astros fondly because of their success the last couple of years, but I remember when they were at the depth of their tanking, they couldn't even get a TV contract.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how bad things had gotten in Houston. And I know the Royals lost 104 last year. They're actually behind that pace this year. Tonight, I think they're 19-40 going into the Red Sox series that starts Tuesday night. So it stinks to be a Royals fan here in this last year, this year, and so the Bobby Witt Jr. draft gave Royals fans a measure of one day to not think about how lousy things have been. But I just, if a team is going to lose 100 games for a couple of years, I want some assurance that in 3 or 4 years, 2 or 3 years, whatever that timetable is, we're going to see the triple digit on the other side of the dash.
Yeah, you bring up a good point, because it's not just the,
because this pain is bad. I mean, this is bad. I'd
terrible.
rather lose 75. I'd rather be a 75 win team with 95 as the upside than to go 104 losses for the chance at 100 wins 3 years from now.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Cardinals. I'd rather be the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Everybody would. It's not just the big league clubhouse culture either that Dayton is fiercely protective of. I'm using those words intentionally, but it's kind of what you're just talking about of Kansas City's kind of a different place, like that connection between club and fan. Dayton believes he's kind of a romantic, and a lot of people in baseball would say he's naive about this, but it's pure and it's real of, he wants to see 8-year-old kids in jerseys. Not in, it used to be that in a certain era of the Royals, it was Derek Jeter and David Ortiz jerseys, like dominated, even when the Red Sox and Yankees weren't in town, if we're honest. Yeah. And then that was one of the things that he would always talk about is, for a 4-year period, 5-year period or whatever, those 8-year-old kids were wearing Lorenzo Cain shirts and they were wearing Eric Hosmer shirts. And that's a big deal. That's a big deal financially, and it's also a big deal just sort of with relevance, with emotion, with
spirit,
with connection, with spirit. Yeah, and
absolutely it is.
That's another thing, and you're right. Like, you kill that, because if you're in Houston, what years were that? Was that
12? Was it like 11, 12, something like that?
That sounds
right in there. I'm sure there was nobody wearing Astros.
Oh my gosh,
nothing.
I remember the scenes from the ballpark. I mean, nobody there, and this is before now, where baseball's really having a problem with its selling its product.
Yeah.
It was gruesome.
Yeah.
It was pretty bad in Houston.
Yeah. There is a little bit of a line when you cross when everything is treated as a commodity and not like this real, like, human, sort of business. And I get it. And again, it's easier for me as a sports writer to not, care about those things when my decisions aren't real, right? And I get that it would be a lot harder to tank if you're actually, if your finger's on the button, so to speak. So I can think about it a little bit more, sort of clinically. So I get it. I just really believe that the most efficient and not easy, that's the wrong word, but just the most efficient path to winning is to lose.
Well, and the point also that you're making is, here we are. We're looking at this, I'm doing the air quotes, the unintentional aspect of it.
Yeah.
It's demoralizing in an entirely different way because you're seeing there's no upside in what we're seeing right now. And I think the novelty of 3 or 4 or 5 guys that you're excited about in a 19-40 season is starting to wear off. Like, yeah, it's exciting what's Mondesi going to do tonight? Mm-hmm. But
Nicky Lopez was fun to see him make his debut, and that's worn off.
And I'm glad, I'm glad they added those dimensions. But now, in this last week or so, in fact, almost since I think the three of us all thought they were going to be either like 19-21 or 18-22 after the first 40, right?
Yeah.
And they've been like 5-17 or something. It's been terrible, and something's missing in a different sort of way. I sort of feel like there's I don't know. I don't think anybody's waving the white flag. I don't mean that, but I just feel like it just seems like you're playing bad baseball too. I felt like for a while they were, they're leading most of the time, then lose. Something goes wrong. There's, you plug one thing, something else goes, but you had reasons to think maybe they could put it all together at one point and be a 500-ish team for the rest of the way. I don't feel that way at all now.
Yeah. In this last series they played at Texas, there was an occasion where Whit Merrifield was on third base, fly ball to deep enough left field where you thought he was going to tag, decided not to tag. The throw goes up the line. He would have scored standing up, and didn't score. And that was with nobody out, and of course the Royals don't get him in. There were a couple of moments like that.
They had bases loaded, no outs, did they?
Yeah,
with Merrifield
in the Sunday game with top of the order. So 7, 8, 9 got up, loaded the bases. The game was 1-0, I think, and the Royals couldn't do anything there. I think Mondesi and Gordon struck out to end the inning. So it was, and I think Denny Matthews actually said it at the end of the third or the fourth Rangers game at the conclusion of the series that was the worst baseball game, or at least one of the worst baseball games he'd ever seen.
And to emphasize that point, that was a quick game too. That was a 2-hour and 38-minute game, and so if Denny Matthews is calling that one of the worst games, he really means it.
That's just the mistakes that they're making, the poor starting pitching they've gotten for the most part. I'll tell you what, but Danny Duffy threw 5 incredible innings Friday night, comes out for the 6th, walks the leadoff guy, and all of a sudden it's 6-1, I think, or 6-2, whatever the Royals had. It was over, and for him to lose it 1 inning, and I thought he had no-hit stuff that night, and he just completely unraveled and gave up a 500-foot grand slam to Joey Gallo. So it's just nothing seems to be going right for these guys right now. They've lost 6 or 7 on this road trip. And they've got the Red Sox coming in, and it's just hope. And it looks like Big Slick's going to have to deal with rain on Friday night. How about that?
There's no margin for error with the pitching staff, and now the hitters, they struck out 47 times in that series, in that Rangers series. 47 times.
Against a lot of Cy Young candidates, too,
yeah,
I think,
right, exactly.
for the Rangers.
Yeah. Like Lance Lynn? Wasn't even, I was like, I legitimately did not know Lance Lynn was still around. And he struck out 12 or something. It's...
All right, so Bobby Witt Jr. is going to change everything. I think we're all convinced of that now.
Yeah, he's going to win. He'll sit for a year, and then he'll throw 50 touchdowns and win the MVP. That's how this is going to work.
That's right. All right, guys, that'll do it. I appreciate you stopping by, and we will talk to you again soon. Hey, it's Blair Kerkhoff, and if you're listening to this, you love Kansas City sports, whether it's the Chiefs, Royals, Sporting, Mizzou, KU, or K-State. And no one covers these teams like the Kansas City Star. If you currently subscribe to the paper or have a digital subscription, thank you for your support. And if you don't, here's a great offer. It's called Sports Pass, unlimited digital access to every sports story and video on kansascity.com. And it's just $30 for the first year. It's the best sports value in town, just 8 cents a day or $2.50 a month. You can't beat that. Subscribe now at kansascity.com/sportspass. We're joined by Royals beat writer Lynn Worthy, who is found refuge in the lobby of the Marriott where he's staying outside of Dallas, Texas. The Royals just got finished playing the Texas Rangers, but Lynn Worthy stayed in the Dallas area for an extra day on the chance that the Royals would select Bobby Witt Jr. with their first-round draft pick, and that's exactly what happened. So Lynn went to the Witt house outside of Dallas. Hey, before we talk to Lynn, let's hear from Bobby Witt Jr.
When did it become like the big leagues become a sort of a goal for you?
I think it was as a young kid, whatever, 5, 6, 7 years old. It's like as young as I could process that this is a thing that can actually happen. There's a draft and everything. Just playing the professional baseball has always been a goal of mine and a dream of mine. And now getting this opportunity here, it's just been truly a blessing and everything. And then all the things I've worked for, it's been a lot of fun. I really wouldn't want to change anything else. And just being with this organization now, it's going to be a lot of fun. And I got kind of a lot more work to do. Just getting here is a good thing, but there's a lot more work to do. So I'm excited to see what happens next.
Lynn Worthy, the Royals beat writer, joins us. And Lynn, you were on a road trip and you were covering the Royals Rangers, and you decided to stay down in the Dallas area for a pretty good reason. And it was a gamble that paid off for you because the Royals selected Bobby Witt Jr. In the second round, or with the second pick, not the second round, but with the second pick. And just a short drive from where you're staying. Tell us a little bit about your visit to the Witt household and your conversation with Bobby Witt Jr.
Yeah, got to go out. It's about a 20-minute drive from right by the ballpark in Arlington. I stayed right near there, and about 20 minutes to their home in Colleyville. And and it's one of those places where you drive up, and right away you know it's a baseball player's house because they had the picture of the seniors outside, from the Colleyville Heritage team, and then on the other gate there was a picture of him with the bat over his shoulder. The old baseball card pose that everybody made when they were in probably 5th or 6th grade, except obviously it was his high school photo. But and so I got to sit down with Bobby Witt Jr., the latest draft pick, or the latest first round draft pick of the Royals, for about 15-20 minutes, just talking to him about growing up in the game and getting ready to start the next stage after, of course, after he finishes up the state tournament, which he's going to be going about 3 hours away come tomorrow night to go get ready to start playing state finals.
Was he still excited about the evening? You talked to him about 20 hours after the selection had happened. You talked to him on Tuesday. So was he still pretty stoked about the whole thing?
Yeah. I mean, he was smiling the whole time that I was talking to him, and he was just, we were actually sitting. At one point I realized, because he said something about he's still trying to sort of, wrap his mind around what had just happened last night. And he was sitting in the same spot where he was on the television. I realized that because I said, wait a minute. I said, was this the same? He said, yeah, this is where I was sitting, and the teammates that I saw on the television were standing right behind the couch, so we were sitting on while we were chatting. But yeah, he said, it was a dream come true, and he actually said he woke up this morning, Tuesday morning, and had to check to make sure that it all actually happened.
Hey, so did he know, or any indication of where his professional career is going to begin? Or it's not I assume that the signing of the contract will just be a formality, and he'll be on his way to his professional career. But how about taking us through those steps? What's next for him?
Well, for him, right now it's just a matter of focusing on finishing up the state tournament. His father is going to be one of his agents, but he's got another one, so that it's not as sort of emotional for the negotiations and all those sorts of things. But yeah, he's right now it's Thursday night state tournament, and then they could potentially go on to the next day. He just graduated high school. His birthday is in a couple of weeks, so he wants his main goal right now is finish up high school, try to get a state title, which their school has never had, and then go on from there as far as the whole process. But he's stoked about trying to get started. Right now it's the state tournament, but all the other stuff will be shortly ironed out, I believe.
Right. So you go to it just was fortunate timing that the Royals were playing in Texas, but you had some inkling, didn't you? A lot of the chatter before the the draft and a lot of the mock drafts had the Royals selecting Bobby Witt because the Orioles were going to go with the Oregon State catcher. Was there any question in your mind that the Royals would have gone another way if Witt had gone? Well, if the Witt had gone to the Orioles, I imagine the Royals would have taken the catcher. But did it play out the way you expected it to play out?
Yeah. I mean, I think the only thing that maybe would have made it interesting or a little more interesting would have been if the Orioles passed on both Rutschman and Witt, which nobody really thought was going to happen. But if they did, then that would have left the Royals with a choice. I mean, at this point, I guess it's easy to say in hindsight, but I think they probably still would have gone with Witt. But I think Rutschman being sort of the consensus number one, being a premium position player as in the catcher, switch hitter with power. I know he was a guy, and I think we even ran a photo in the paper the other day. He was a guy who in spring training, because Oregon State always does a tournament around that time of year in Surprise, Arizona. Right. So it was right where the Royals were. He came over and watched the workout and met with some of the team officials. But I still, again, like I said, it's easy to say now, probably would have went with Witt because they just followed him for so long. I mean, Dayton had talked about how they had eyes on him since he was 14 years old. They were at every inning that he played this year during the baseball season, including some scrimmages and workouts. Dayton himself was out here about a month ago for 2 days. So, like I said, those things to me point to they probably still would have picked Witt. But, yeah, it played out pretty much according to what everybody had projected, with Rutschman going first and then them jumping at the chance to draft Bobby Witt Jr.
And then they took a shortstop with their next pick after that, did they not?
Yep. They picked up another shortstop, a former college teammate of Brady Singer and Jackson Colwire, the Florida guys they drafted last year, the pitchers they drafted last year. And they added another pitcher out of Arizona State University, the Florida shortstop, Brady McConnell, and then the Arizona State, Alec Marsh, right-hander. That was how they finished up day one of the draft.
Okay. Hey, before we let you go, Lynn, how about just a thought on what we've seen from the Royals here the last week or so? It's that Texas series after the opener was pretty gruesome, and just not playing good baseball right now, it seems to me. Yeah,
I mean, early in the season, the sense that I got was, okay, they obviously they were losing, but they weren't playing awful ball. It was just, they were finding ways late in games to sort of not come out with a win, whether it was the bullpen was, had its little hiccups early. And then it turned into a point where later on the bullpen started to get on track and starters were struggling. But this last series, it seemed like there was just, you could point to several areas, whether it was the starters, the bullpen, defensively making some mistakes, offensively leaving guys on base and just not coming up with the hits they had to have. It was just one of those series where, there wasn't a whole lot to take away from that series and to be positive about, which to me was a difference because it wasn't like that, at least early in the season when they were having some of the losses. But this last week has been, nothing really going right.
Right. But draft day was a happy day for the Royals, for Dayton Moore, for the front office, and they got the guy they wanted, it seems to me. So, hey, Lynn Worthy, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you back in Kansas City.
Okay. Thanks for having me.
Links to the stories we discuss can be found in the show notes and on kansascity.com, facebook.com/trueblue, and the True Blue app. Big thanks to Kathy Liu and Leah Becerra for producing the show. This has been Sports Beat KC, a sports podcast presented by the Kansas City Star. I'm Blair Kerkhoff. Can I go? All right. Anything else? You want to chime in?
Just don't be as hot.
Come on, that's good.
That's
your
right.
podcast. Go ahead.
It's so hard right now.